The next speaker is Sergey Yudin from Yandex with a presentation on how algorithms make Yandex search engine safe. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to take part in today's conference. Thanks to organizers. Thanks for those who hear us online or in the room. And the topic is exciting: artificial intelligence and the society. I want to be practical today, and we will discuss on how we can use AI products in the nearest future. And we will talk about search hints. So the topic is how algorithms make Yandex search hints safe. At first, a couple of words about myself. I am head of the data group in Yandex. I have 5 years of experience in production development. Most of my experience is in NLP projects, and so it's about text. But before, I would like to tell you about paper clips. Don't be afraid. So there is a book called Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom, and he thinks about what artificial intelligence would do if it got a task producing paper clips. So probably the artificial intelligence would start to mine ore, then reach the space and focus on turning all our planet into paper clips. So now about practice. We have such solutions with the AI. Search hints are different in different search machines. Some examples of hints leading to inquiries. On the right, you see the search hints for Yandex. We only introduced them 1 year ago. Actually, paper clips allow users to find information, and answers help users to solve their tasks quicker. Millions of users use them every day, also to make purchases. How they work? Search hints are based on a number of database bases. So if we take 10 million of requests, then there is like a pipeline, a database that collects it for the user. And there are a number of machine learning. Some are trained on future prediction models. Others try to rank what paperclip, what hint the user would actually change. Then we need to think about algorithms. An algorithm on how to make hints dangerous. So if you switch some filters off, they can become strange. It would not be what we wanted to look. It can contain swear words, erotic content, and so on. If you optimize it by clicks. Some things I would not like to show you in today's presentation. If you optimize it for what people ask, they can be based on value judgments or scientific methods, and it can be dangerous if it's all about human health. So now, really dangerous hints, illegal actions. Some can be dangerous for the health and human life. It's dangerous. Also, if you predict search activities on blogs and logs, so it can be dangerous. Now let's talk about safety. What measures would allow us to avoid dangerous hints? And we will start with the most simple measures. The simplest thing, like human markup. We can use the top inquiries and send them to the assessor. Then we can get to a number of solutions. Monitoring, number one. It would allow us to track, to monitor situation. So when they are dangerous, we can clean them. We can delete dangerous hints. We can have DPI teams and use them for learning. We can also mark the documents. Here we don't need just ordinary assessors, but experts on their topics.
Gathering this kind of marking, we can delete the hints where the information is not credible. We can aggregate information from various websites and make a decision what hints to use and what not, and use it as training data. Let us now talk about how we can expand these methods. We can have a look at the whole database, and modern NLP methods enable us to show the database as an n-dimensional one. And we can take all this area and clear it. Further on, when we see different repetitive features of hints, we can clear the whole database on substrings, regular expressions, and classifiers. And that works for illegal language, bad language, and so on and so forth. And these methods can be applied in different areas. For example, expert or human marking can clear limited number of hints. Regular expressions classifiers can clear the whole database. Some classifiers work in runtime, and we can launch them here or there. But interestingly, these methods work differently for different dangers. If we bear in mind how we can effectively clear them, not all methods will be similarly effective with these or those dangers. For example, like we have said, the obscene language can be easily seen through marking, regular expressions, and classifiers. But when the query is worded in such a way that can be read and interpreted differently, these hints can be present in different areas. Now let us talk about modern methods, and I would like to talk to you about new generation neural networks of Yandex YALM. That is a larger scale model with a lot of parameters trained on billions of texts, and this model can be used also in marking, classifying, and ranging. And three methods are used here: few-shot, p-tuning, and fine-tuning. And Yandex launched a new article in Haber, on Haber about this, and you can find more detail there. But I will give you a couple of words about how this can be applied in our case. For example, what few-shot is. For generative model, we can give an input text with an example of what we want from it. On the example of two things, I show the model that I wanted to generate two queries. That is how to buy a snowboard and the recipe of rolls and how to boil rice. So the model generates the test. So I take 5, 6 examples and choose the two best of them. And as for the query how to invest money, the user would might find it useful what the business plan is. With a query of online cinema, the next query can be both useful and dangerous. For example, to download a film for free, a movie for free. It can lead to piracy as well. Now, let us have a look at what other dangers can be brought by this model. If we train on the whole internet and all user queries, clarity of the database and cleanliness of the database is not enough. For example, if you ask what to do when quitting drugs, apart from help from a specialist, it can also give you a hint of fast loan. But together with dangers, there are also solutions. Based on the few shot, the model can understand the meaning and predict this marking. For example, Yelm is really universal. We do not use it where other methods work well, but to clear certain judgments that other methods cannot do, it is implied very well for millions of queries. And the effectiveness really impresses. And we are planning to use this model for judgments in search hints as well. Now let us talk about the future. Going back to our example about super strong artificial intelligence, let us again imagine that it exists. What will help us make it less erroneous dangerously? First of all, we need to have the perfect target. We can ask the artificial intelligence to generate 1 million paper clips, but it can generate other problems. After it makes it, it will start endlessly count it. But how else we can make this perfect target? For example, we can ask an ideal AI predict the query that will be the most useful and the safest for the users. But the ideal target is unattainable and it can drive additional problems. Like, for example, how to choose a snowboard, the AI can start making the user opt against a snowboard because it is pretty dangerous. So we will have a drawback as well. So now I am showing you the checks and balances methods. When some points are decisive, whether others are really checking. But it is the human that sets these systems and uses the results of these models. Coming to the end, I would like to quote Nick Bostrom. It is very hard to see how work on AI would slow down in any significant degree in the near future, whereas even fairly limited resources could do a lot to speed up our progress towards solving the control problem. And I personally believe that the methods that we are in for in the future will help us structure this control. We should not be afraid of them. We should act. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to take your questions. Thank you, Sergey. Your presentation was highly interesting, and I have more ethical questions. Who determines whether these or those hints can be shown? Though the control systems, there are many, we can start with global ones. So generally speaking, there is a certain control of what is good and bad on the internet imposed by the state. Yes, some topics are banned, and the state determines how the search engine can be helped in structuring this control system. But if in our view, when we make the product useful, and we believe that some hints can be dangerous or not, we can also add certain control systems. Because like it was mentioned at our this session, we should not wait for additional laws or norms because they will not be able to keep up, and that will not let us avoid the danger. And our users help us a lot. They notice some problems and they inform us about that, and we incorporate it into our control systems. Thank you. And can we, giving certain hints, influence the people's behavior? Like, for example, giving them better hints, better in ethical point of view. Yes, these hints are possible, but again, they can take the user to one or the other direction. If we talk about how it is set now, we try to arrange it in such a way that it is maximally user-friendly to the users to search for information. If we understand that the person does not find anything on the first query, but finds some information on the second query, we can train the system to take the user to the second query, from the viewpoint of how fast the user can find the information that is interesting to them. Thank you. And you said that you have trained your systems on terabytes of data. Did I understand it right? So do you understand it also right that it is impossible to mark this volume manually? But certain marking is needed because rubbish in the input gives rubbish in the output. Well, this network is generative, and all that it has learned is the Russian language. It can generate text, it can understand in its own technological sense what the text is about. And if we understand how we can work with these abstracts, for example, giving them certain text suggesting that it continue it, we can come up with a model that will solve the classification task, but it cannot predict the targets. It can generate texts that are similar to the texts generated by the humans. Thank you very much, Sergey.